Bismillah Rahman Rahim. Today our topic of discussion is trachea and bronchial tree. Our objectives are: we will discuss the anatomical structure of the trachea with its relations and applied aspects, and we will talk about the blood and nerve supply of trachea and bronchial tree, and we also talk about the anatomical features of bronchial tree and how it is dividing. So already you have talked about the upper respiratory tract. In lower respiratory tract we have trachea, bronchi, bronchial tree, terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, alveolar sacs, and the lungs. So they all structures are the part of lower respiratory tract, and we will discuss trachea, bronchi, and bronchial tree, terminal bronchioles, respiratory bronchioles, a little bit alveolar sac. So as we discuss the zones of respiratory tract, we have two zones of respiratory tract. One is known as conducting zone and the other one is the respiratory zone where the gas exchange is taking place. So today what we are talking about the trachea and the bronchial tree and bronchioles, mainly they are the part of conducting zone, means that they are transmitting air from nasal cavity till the lung tissue. So most of these structures are the part of conducting zone. The respiratory bronchioles, alveolar sac and alveolar duct, they are the part of respiratory zone. So trachea is the continuation of larynx. We talked about the voice box. So at the lower border of cricoid cartilage, which is the cartilage of larynx, at the level of 6 cervical vertebra, the trachea starts. As we have said that it is the continuation of larynx, so just at the lower part of the larynx when it continues, it lies at the level of cervical 6 vertebrae. It begins in the midline of the body, or we can say sagittal plane of the body, and terminates slightly to the right of the midline. A very little deviation toward the right side it has, but in appearance it appears as that it lies completely on the midline. Continuation of larynx starts at the lower border of cricoid cartilage at the level of 6 cervical vertebrae and begins in the midline. So it is also known as windpipe, the pipe which is taking the air in. So it is a fibromuscular tube. Part of it is a fibrous tissue and part of it is muscular, 10 cm long almost, and containing incomplete cartilaginous rings. So we already discussed three types of cartilages: hyaline, fibrous, and elastic. The trachea is formed by hyaline cartilage. So they are complete cartilage rings are not present there. They are incomplete cartilage rings. They are C-shaped tracheal rings. Total 16 to 20 C-shaped tracheal cartilages are present, connected together and form the trachea. Anteriorly and the lateral walls of the trachea are completely closed, while on the posterior aspect the space between the ends of those tracheal rings are connected by a smooth muscle which is known as trachealis. So I will show you in the picture in the next slide. So it is a fibromuscular tube 10 cm long having incomplete hyaline cartilaginous rings. Anteriorly and laterally these rings are present, while posteriorly the ends of the rings are connected to the smooth muscle which is known as trachealis muscle. It starts from cricoid cartilage at C6 level and it terminates at the level of 4th and 5th thoracic vertebra, which is lies at the sternal angle. It bifurcates into two smaller tubes which are known as right and left primary bronchi. So it starts from C6 and it terminates between the T4 and T5, that means between the thoracic fourth and thoracic fifth vertebrae, and anteriorly at the level of sternal angle. What is sternal angle? Already you have discussed that the sternum is divisible into three parts: mandibular sterni, body of the sternum, and the xiphoid process. So the junction between the body of the sternum and mandibular sterni is slightly projected forward, and we name that area as sternal angle, which exactly lies just at the level of T4 and T5 vertebrae. So it ends at the level of sternal angle between T4 and T5 by dividing into two bronchi known as right and left primary bronchi. Each bronchus projects laterally towards each lung. Now here we can see this is our larynx. This is the thyroid cartilage anteriorly, superior part. In inferior part we have ring-like structure which is known as cricoid cartilage. These two cartilages are unpaired cartilages, and at this level, that is C6 level, the tracheal rings are started. This is the anterior view of the trachea. We can see that there are multiple rings are present, and anteriorly they are complete rings, and as they reach at their level of sternal angle, they divide into two bronchi, the right primary bronchus, this one, and the left primary bronchus. So two bronchi are there. At the last ring before their division, the ring is slightly projecting forward. A hook-like structure is present anteriorly, and we name this as carina. So carina of the trachea is actually at its termination point at the level of sternal angle. It is a hook-like projection in the last ring, and after that it divides into right primary bronchus and left primary bronchus. Now before we move forward, another point we will discuss here is, if you can see, the right bronchus is wider as compared to the left bronchus, more wider as compared to left. That is the first difference between right and left bronchus. The second one is that primary bronchus is long before its further division. So it is a long structure, while just after the formation of right bronchus it divides into two bronchi, upper and lower, and they are known as eparterial and hyparterial bronchi. It is only taking place on the right side, that just after trachea divides into two right and left main bronchi, the right bronchus just after formation divides into two, known as eparterial and hyparterial, or upper lobe and lower lobe bronchi. So the length of the right primary bronchus is very much shorter or smaller as compared to the left one. That is the second difference. The third difference, if we take a careful look, the direction of the or inclination of the trachea is toward the slightly at the lower end toward the right side. So it is more wider, shorter as compared to the left one, which is longer and smaller in diameter, and right bronchus is more in line with the trachea. What is its important that we are going to in a minute. Now this is a transverse section or cross section of a tracheal ring. What we can see, that we have a C-shaped hyaline cartilage. This is the anterior part of the trachea, which we have seen in the previous slide. This is the lateral wall, and when it reaches posteriorly posterolaterally, the tracheal rings ends, and in the gap is filled by the smooth muscle, and this muscle is known as trachealis muscle, and on the outer aspect it is covered by a layer of connective tissue. In histology lecture you will talk more about in detail regarding its structure. So this is a cross section showing the C-shaped tracheal ring, and posteriorly we can see the trachealis or smooth muscle. It also has a very importance in the structure, what we are going to discuss later. Now the bronchi. The right primary bronchus is shorter, wider and more vertical than the left primary bronchus, and that's why the foreign particles are more likely to be lodged in the right primary bronchus. So if a child inhales something into the trachea, there are likely chances that it will lodges on the right primary bronchus because it is very shorter and more wider and more vertical than the left one. So first of all, if you come across such type of case, you have to search the foreign body or foreign particle on the right side as compared to the left one. Bronchial tree, a highly branched system of air conducting passages that originate from the left and right primary bronchi. So as the name is indicating, tree means that the primary and left bronchi divide into multiple branches, and those branches are actually named as tree. So highly branched air conducting passages from the right and left bronchi, and progressively as they are progressive or moving forward, these branches are getting narrower tubes, and as they diverge throughout the lungs before terminating in the terminal bronchioles. So these bronchi will divide into multiple branches and we name them as bronchioles, and at some area they named as terminal bronchioles. So in diagram we will see it. The primary bronchi enter the hilus of the each lung together with the pulmonary vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerves, as well as the right side primary bronchus is shorter. So before it entered into the right hilum of the lung, it divides into two as we have already discussed. So in the hilum of the lung we will see the two openings of the primary bronchi. The primary bronchi divides into two, up and hyparterial or upper and lower bronchi. So at the hilum of right lung we will see two openings for the bronchi, while on the left side, because it is longer, it enters into the lung and then it divides, so only one opening is present in the left hilum of the lung, along with the pulmonary vessels, lymphatic vessels and nerves. You will again see in the hilum of the lung these openings when you will take the lecture of lungs and flora. Now each primary bronchus branches into secondary bronchi or lobar bronchi. The left lung has two secondary bronchi, the right lung has three secondary bronchi. The primary will divide into secondary, on the left side two and on the right side three, and they further divide into tertiary bronchi. So secondary bronchi will divide into tertiary bronchi. Here we can see this is the cricoid cartilage. These are the tracheal rings covered by connective tissue. These are hyaline cartilage tracheal rings. And here you can see the anterior wall is removed, so we can see the trachealis muscle, this one. So this wall is removed, the anterior wall, and from here we can appreciate the trachealis muscle, which is forming the posterior wall of the trachea. Now why this smooth muscle is there? Because just behind the trachea we have esophagus, which is taking the food material. So normally the anterior and posterior wall of the esophagus, which is a smooth muscle tube, it is a closed tube, it is not open tube like the trachea. So when we take bolus or we eat something, so then that tube opens and the food passes. So this trachealis muscle which is present just anterior to the esophagus. It also contracts anteriorly and help the food material to pass down into the stomach. So just over here we have esophagus, which is a closed tube. So as food is passing through that tube, it little bit this trachealis muscle projects inward and provide space to that esophageal wall so that easily the food can pass down. That is the functional importance of trachealis, that it helps the esophagus to contract forward or its anterior wall contract forward to pass the food easily down. So as we go down, this is the last tracheal ring having a projection known as carina. This is right main bronchus, wider and shorter, dividing into secondary bronchi and secondary bronchi will further divide into tertiary bronchi. These are the primary bronchi, secondary bronchi, two secondary bronchi on the left side, three secondary bronchi on the right side, and then we have tertiary bronchi, as we can see here. Now each tertiary bronchus is called a segmental bronchus because it supplies a part of the lung that is called bronchopulmonary segment. We will talk in a minute in the next slide about the bronchopulmonary segment. So each tertiary bronchus is a segmental bronchus. So primary bronchus will become secondary bronchus. Secondary bronchus will become tertiary bronchus. Secondary bronchus is also known as lobar bronchus because it is going towards the lobe of the lung tissue, and tertiary bronchus is going towards the segments of these lobes, so that's why it is known as segmental bronchi. Now these tertiary bronchi will further divide into 20 to 25 almost branches of bronchioles, and those bronchioles will finally, the last generation of these bronchiole is known as terminal bronchiole. So here we can see trachea dividing into right and left main bronchi, which are the primary bronchi in green color. Then in purple color we can see we have lobar bronchi for the lobes, which are the secondary bronchi, and from here they will divide into the terminal ends, which are known as segmental or tertiary bronchi. These are primary, secondary and tertiary. Known as primary, secondary as lobar, and these as segmental. And if you can see, they are going toward the, on right side we have three lobes of the lung, 1, 2 and 3. On left side we have two lobes of the lung. Here we can also appreciate the bronchial tree. The trachea divides into right bronchus and left bronchus. Right and left bronchus will divide into intermediate bronchus or secondary bronchi. This one, and these secondary bronchi will further divide into these tertiary bronchi, which are in different colors, or segmental bronchi like red, green and blue. These are three segmental bronchi. Over here also you can see different colors of bronchi. So each bronchi is going towards a part of a lung tissue. Here we can see these are our lungs. So here if you can see, previously we have seen a red color bronchi is going to this part of the lung tissue. So this part of the lung tissue is supplied air by that red color tertiary bronchi, which further divide into bronchioles and terminal bronchioles. So this is the anterior surface of the lung tissue, this is the posteromedial surface of the lung tissue, and you can see that each color of lung tissue is showing different lobes or segments. and they are known as bronchopulmonary segments. So here we can see now that each this red bronchi will nourish this part of the lung tissue. So this part of the lung tissue along with this bronchi is known as bronchopulmonary segment. So on the right side and left side we have 9 to 10 bronchopulmonary segments. So when we will talk about the lung tissue, we will talk more about in detail the importance of this bronchopulmonary segment, that this portion or this segment is a single functional unit of the lung tissue. This one is also. Why? Because they have their own bronchi and they have their own arteries and they have their own veins. So if this portion is getting damaged by, for example, there is an abscess there, or maybe there is a cancer of this, so you can remove only this portion, so it will not cause problem rest, because they all have their own bronchi, they all have their own arteries, and they all have their own veins. Each bronchopulmonary segment is a single functional unit. So if these two segments are involved in cancer, you can remove them, the rest will do their function. So here we can see that this red will go there, this green will go here, this blue will go here. So they will form these three bronchopulmonary segments with their bronchi. That is known as bronchopulmonary segment. And importance, I have already told you that they are single functional unit, so they can do their function separately. Now, what we have seen that these tertiary bronchi, when they divide into bronchi into bronchioles. So first of all, these bronchi are getting smaller and smaller, as we have discussed that they have many generations. So the major difference between the bronchi and bronchioles is, if you can see, the bronchi contains pieces of hyaline cartilage. Over here you can see. Till as the bronchioles starts, we don't have any cartilage. So it means that part of the bronchial tree till there where we have cartilaginous pieces, they are bronchi, and when we find no cartilage piece, it means we are in the bronchioles. And what these cartilage pieces are doing in the bronchi, or even the trachea has a C-shaped cartilage, because we need that these tubes remain intact, because cartilage is a non-contractile tissue. It cannot contract, it remain always in its normal size or exact size. So because there is no contraction there, they are as it is, so the trachea rings will remain or keep the trachea open all the life. So trachea will never close, it will remain open, because we need oxygenation and oxygen is coming out and going out, carbon dioxide. So this passage is always open because of the tracheal rings in the trachea and these pieces of hyaline cartilage in the bronchi. So major difference, or one of the major difference between bronchi and bronchioles, where the cartilaginous pieces are ending and later on we can't find any cartilage, then that is known as bronchioles. And as we descend down into bronchiole, there are many generations of bronchioles are there. So that bronchioles where we have large generation of bronchiole, we name is a terminal bronchiole. Terminal means last bronchiole is there. So if we enlarge this portion, we can see like this. So this small portion is enlarged in this picture over here. So here we can see this is the terminal bronchiole. So when the terminal bronchiole further divide into respiratory bronchiole, which are 3 to 8 generations, or some books say that they are 2 to 12 or 2 to 10. So there are little bit variability, but there are multiple generations of respiratory bronchioles are also there. And respiratory bronchiole then finally have 5 to 6 alveolar ducts, a longitudinal ducts, and these alveolar ducts have multiple alveoli in them. So bronchi, or generations of from tertiary bronchi to bronchioles, from bronchioles to terminal bronchiole, from terminal bronchiole to respiratory bronchiole. So this portion which we are talking about, respiratory bronchiole, alveolar sacs and alveoli and alveolar ducts, this is the respiratory zone, or gas exchange is taking place in this region. Till here, this is whole is the conducting zone, only air is coming till here. There is no gas exchange taking place in the terminal bronchiole, but after that respiratory bronchioles as well as alveolar sac and alveoli, here the gas exchange is taking place. That's why it is known as respiratory zone. Another thing which we are going to see over here is that smooth muscle is encircling the bronchioles along with these green color fibers which are elastic fibers. So as we are going down, what you can see, as you are going down from terminal bronchioles towards alveoli, the smooth muscle content is decreasing. So continuously the smooth muscle is decreasing, and in alveoli there is no smooth muscle. So it just present till the respiratory bronchioles, a little bit covering the ducts, but mainly till the respiratory bronchioles. And we can see that elastic fibers are completely encircling the alveoli like the rubber bands, and that's why in previous lecture we talked about elastic recoiling of the lung tissue. So they are just like bands of elastic tissue. So if we inflate the lung when we take the air in, that is known as inhalation, so they will stretch out and the alveoli will enlarge. So after that, when we expire air in normal breathing, these elastic tissue or fibers or rubber bands are go to their normal position. So that going back of their normal position after stretching out is known as elastic recoiling, that they are going to be recoiled again. So that process is actually taking place at the time of expiration in normal breathing. So in respiratory bronchioles, we have smooth muscle which is getting less and less till towards alveoli, and the alveoli as well as the ducts, they are completely enclosed by the elastic fibers which help in their elastic recoiling. This diagram is basically showing the gas exchange where it is taking place. You can appreciate that this is taking place at the alveolar ducts where alveoli are present. You can see here alveoli, the gas exchange is taking place also at the level of respiratory bronchioles. Now a very important thing which we have to talk about is pulmonary circulation. Already we know that pulmonary circulation, the blood from heart goes to the lungs from the right ventricle through pulmonary arteries. Always also we know that arteries carry oxygenated blood and they appear in red, but this is the exception in the body, that here the arteries are taking deoxygenated blood which is showing in blue color. So these are basically the arteries which are carrying deoxygenated blood. These are pulmonary arteries branches, and when this blood or gas exchange takes place and that blood is oxygenated, it goes back to the heart towards its left atrium through pulmonary veins. So they carry oxygenated blood, but they are in the vein. Now this concept of artery and vein is that anything which is taking origin from the heart is an artery, and anything which is going towards the heart or taking the blood towards the heart, that is a vein. That's why this is known as pulmonary artery, because it is taking origin from the right ventricle, and pulmonary vein, it is going towards the left atrium. It is carrying deoxygenated blood, which is a variation. Normally the artery is carrying oxygen blood, but here they are carrying deoxygenated blood towards the lung tissue. When it is oxygenated, it go back to the pulmonary vein after oxygenation, and pulmonary vein will take that blood to the left atrium. So remember that always the pulmonary artery takes the pathway of the bronchial tree, because we have to take this blood to each alveoli. And how we can reach to each alveoli? To take the pathway of bronchial tree. So always remember, pulmonary artery branches as the pulmonary bronchial tree is branching. So you can appreciate that it is running parallel and it is giving branches. So each alveoli is receiving the branches of pulmonary artery to take gas exchange, where gas exchange is taking place, and the vein is away from it because it has to take blood back to the heart. So we no need that it run with the pulmonary bronchial tree. So bronchial tree always carry with it the branches of pulmonary artery. Another artery you can appreciate, which is known as bronchial artery, that is the artery which is taking oxygenated blood for the supply or for the nutrition of the bronchial tree and the alveoli also, mainly the bronchial tree. So bronchial artery is a oxygenated artery which is coming from the aorta, I will talk about in a minute, and that is a different artery, or it is a part of systemic circulation, while pulmonary artery and pulmonary vein is a part of pulmonary circulation. So bronchial artery is running with the bronchi and bronchioles to supply the nutrition to this part, and these arteries are taking the deoxygenated and oxygen blood for the gas exchange. The trachea is supplied by, because it is a long tube, it is supplied by inferior thyroid arteries in the upper two-thirds and bronchial arteries in the lower one-third. So important thing, any tubal structure in the body, because it is a long structures, so they are not supplied by a single artery, they are supplied by the segmental arteries. So in upper segment it is supplied by inferior thyroid arteries, and in the lower segment it is supplied by bronchial arteries. In the same way, the deoxygenated blood from the trachea drain in the upper part into inferior thyroid veins and in the lower part into bronchial veins, and it is supplied by sympathetic trunk, and the segments we are going to talk about in a minute, and parasympathetic supply is through the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve carrying parasympathetic. Here you can see this trachea, this is esophagus, what I was talking about, and we have aorta. So from aorta we have bronchial arteries. On the left side we have two bronchial arteries, superior left bronchial artery and inferior left bronchial artery. So these two arteries are supplying the nourishment and oxygenation to the bronchi as well as the part of the trachea, while left and left pulmonary artery is taking deoxygenated blood towards the lung, and left pulmonary vein are taking oxygenated blood towards the heart. On the right side we have only one bronchial artery, which is a branch of third posterior intercostal artery. These two are taking origin from the aorta, and this one is taking origin from the third posterior intercostal artery. The same supply, you can see this is trachea, there are two branches. So superior bronchial artery and inferior bronchial arteries are taking origin from the descending thoracic aorta, while on the right side we have one bronchial artery which is coming from the third right posterior intercostal artery, which is running into the intercostal space, giving supply to the bronchus. The lymphatics of the trachea are basically all the lymph from the trachea is going to the tracheobronchial lymph nodes at the level of carina. Already we discussed the carina, hook-like projection in the lower ring. So we have tracheobronchial nodes, lymphatics from the trachea and bronchi are reaching over here. From here it will go up into the different group of nodes. One of the major group of nodes are known as paratracheal group of nodes, which are run parallel to the trachea, Also, this diagram is not showing their pretracheal lymph nodes are also present, which are anterior to the trachea. So these all paratracheal and tracheobronchial lymph nodes ultimately drain into the tracheo or bronchiomediastinal lymph nodes or trunks. This one. So lymph from the tracheobronchial, paratracheal, pretracheal will drain into bronchomediastinal lymph trunks, and these bronchomediastinal lymph trunks on both the sides drain goes up. The right side bronchomediastinal lymph trunk will drain into right lymphatic duct, and on the left side it will go into the thoracic duct. So thoracic duct is receiving the lymph from the left side, and right lymphatic duct is receiving the lymph from the right side. So tracheobronchial lymph nodes, paratracheal, pretracheal, they all go into the bronchomediastinal, and bronchomediastinal on the right side will go into right lymphatic duct, and on the left side it will go into the thoracic duct. This diagram is showing us the nerve supply, that the vagus nerve, which is the 10th cranial nerve arising from the higher centers in the brain, going down and taking parasympathetic fibers, and when it reaches at the level of the bifurcation of trachea, it forms plexus or network of nerve fibers anterior to the trachea known as anterior pulmonary plexus, and also posterior to the trachea known as posterior pulmonary plexus. This is esophagus, anterior is trachea, and here we have aorta, thoracic aorta and arch of aorta. So behind the trachea are pulmonary plexus, which is network of vagus nerve along with sympathetic fibers, and anterior pulmonary plexus, again network of vagus nerve fibers which are parasympathetic. They supply the trachea and bronchial tree. So here in this diagram we can see that from the side center the vagus nerve is taking the parasympathetic fibers. So these blue colors fibers which are coming, these blue color fibers, they are parasympathetic fibers to the trachea, and sympathetic fibers are coming from first thoracic spinal nerve till fifth thoracic spinal nerve. So fibers from T1 to T5 are going out, and they are running out as sympathetic fibers supplying the trachea as well as the bronchial tree. So vagus is the parasympathetic, and T1 to T5 thoracic segments of spinal nerve are the sympathetic fibers. Now the last, if we want to see the trachea for any foreign body or even for any carcinoma or any swelling, we have to use a procedure which is known as bronchoscopy. From this procedure we enter through the nose a bronchoscope, and from larynx it reaches to the trachea, and ultimately it reaches to the bronchi. So here we can see when we are in the trachea we can see the single opening, and as we are going down we can see the bronchi openings in the segment bronchi, and also over here in the main bronchi we can see the bronchi openings. So this is the tracheal opening or tracheal lumen with these are the opening for the segmental bronchi, and here we can see. So from this bronchoscope we can appreciate all the area, and we can see if there is any foreign body we can remove it easily, and if there is any carcinoma we have to take biopsy. So we go through this process which is known as bronchoscopy, and this is one of the larger view, or you can see or you can appreciate the pieces of these elevations are actually the pieces of cartilage which are projecting toward the mucosa. This all is mucosa, and here we can easily see the bifurcation of the trachea into two, right and left main bronchi. So this is all about the trachea and bronchial tree. If you have any question, you can ask me on email. Thank you very much.